Materialists believe that the brain equals the mind. But imagine a thought experiment in which there is an evil demon, in the vein of Descartes, who has an inanimate brain in a vat of nutrients. Let's assume that the brain was grown in the lab from whatever genetic seed research required to produce such a thing, and that this brain was devoid of any thoughts or other mental debris. With the advances in genetic research, this is not such a far-fetched idea today. Then that demon could induce processes in that brain to simulate any idea or experience that a human might have. Since consciousness is said by materialists to be the process of collections of brain states, and consciousness, in our experience at least, implies that someone is experiencing these brain stimulations, possibly one of us. If so, we would not exist in the usual sense, yet we could still perceive, or at least have a sensation of perceiving, and have all the benefits of perceiving. Now introduce a second brain that could be triggered in an identical manner. Then there would be two brains with processes generating the same experiences of consciousness, and two someones who would be identical in every relevant way. We could have two identical fully formed personalities that have no memories or other accoutrements to ground them, generated by way of nothing more than electrochemical manipulations of the respective brains. Yet by what common sense measures could either conscious be said to exist in the real world? The owners of the consciousnesses in these cases are the processes that were induced in the brain. What else? The consciousnesses do not reside in the brain. So where do they reside? Their existence is independent of place but not time, i.e., the consciousnesses can exist in two processes that are in space-separated brains and yet be virtually identical. In terms of the mental realm, they are indistinguishable from each other. They are disembodied events. They have no referent, though a would-be referent experiences them. If such a thing as a brain in a vat were possible, then one could rationally maintain the stance that one did not exist even though one was able to have thoughts, doubts, and so on. Then the cogito of Descartes would be no defense against the evil demon. But this is the minor point. The major point is that while brains may make for better consciousness, they are not so different from other structures that we can rule out other processes occurring on other substrates having at least a rudimentary consciousness attached to them. Given this possibility, we might conclude that consciousness is all around us. If true, must consciousness not be considered a fundamental property of the universe in order to avoid paradoxes? The universe would be filled with consciousness and there would be no description involving matter and energy that would provide a cause and effect mechanism for its existence. This is like the problem dualists have of explaining how the mental realm interacts with the physical realm. This places the materialist in the same boat as the dualist. This is Pan-psychism, and it turns materialism and dualism on their heads. But thinking about it from a materialist perspective puts the focus on events and not entities. So one has disembodied events tied possibly to subjects, humans, animals, inanimate objects, or even other events that are independent of the consciousness and the event. The events produce conscious experiences involving entities generated seemingly at random. This is either a strong proof against the process view of consciousness or a startling new way to view consciousness.